Hello there.
You don't listen, do you?
I'm Pickle Rick!
You have failed this city.
I can do this all day.
This is the way.
Welcome to the second episode of Venting Views. I'm Josh.
And I'm Pat. We're back for episode 2.
And today we're going to be talking about Birds of Prey. What a movie that was. Thoughts?
So we got back from the cinemas not that long ago. So this is our initial thoughts.
Yeah, it's
pretty fresh on the mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fresh on the mind.
I think from the get-go, it's very interesting to see where it kind of led from the very start. We start off with the narration of Harley Quinn. I felt like there was a lot of fourth wall breaking just from the get-go.
Yeah, Harley Quinn smashed through that fourth wall. She jumps straight into it. Like it starts straight with her just narrating straight to us, like talking directly to the audience, which was cool. It set the tone. Like this whole movie is directed by her, really. She calls the shots.
Personally, I thought it was more of a Deadpool type of feel because I know the R rating was there, but I felt like it was more the fourth wall breaking, the narration, it was very reminiscent of that. Even the fight scenes were very similar.
Yeah, I did get that vibe, like, because I think it's because Deadpool started that. Like, they were the first people to do it, so people always...
Yeah, trying to imitate that.
Yeah.
We kick off the movie with basically Harley Quinzel, aka Harley Quinn, trying to get over the Joker. She's pretty much like done with the whole, relationship because of, him practically dumping her and her telling herself that, she's fine on her own and not really telling anyone how she is or how she feels in that situation, because the Joker and Harley Quinn are like unbreakable. Even in comics or shows, any other movie, they're pretty much like a couple, even though it's a, different dynamic, bit of an abusive relationship, but it's different.
Yeah, like I think in this movie, like in the intro part, they really tried to tell the audience how strong like the bond of Joker and Harley Quinn was inside like Gotham's world. Like they're like they're the two. They always get together. They're always back together, and it never breaks them. And like the whole opening scene was like just a montage of Harley Quinn like getting over it and officially breaking up, and like her blowing up Ace Chemicals and like all that stuff. And
I think you could take away from this like straight off the start of it that Margot Robbie pitched this movie hard. I mean, Suicide Squad came out 4 years ago and it took this long for them to release an all-female film, which is just brilliant because she thought that it was only right for them to release a full female superhero. Well, it's kind of superhero, but more like your mercenary. And that's why you've got the likes of, conflicting personas such as Montoya. And then you've also got Black Canary, which is kind of like good. And then Montoya's good. But then you've got someone like the Huntress, who's kind of seen it as this villainous character. So I thought it was interesting. Yeah.
Like, I thought the intro was good. Like, it was of Harley Quinn. It was a bit of her backstory. Like, they give a real quick... Like, it was like a cartoon animation of, like, her origins. If people didn't watch Suicide Squad or didn't know of this character, like, they just really give a real quick summary of, like, her character in cartoon form. I guess it kind of skipped past them having to film anything and also didn't have to use Jared Leto's Joker. Like, they completely... just removed him from this movie. There's no Jared Leto at all. Like they've just rebranded, obviously, because it pretty much says that Jared Leto's done being the Joker. Like they did like a cartoon Joker, and like even the pictures.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah,
I mean, this pod mainly is going to be very jumpy from one end to another because that's how the movie was. The movie was written,
it felt that,
and directed like from one point or another. We got this scene where we were watching like the whole entire movie, and then it's like, oh, this is how it should be, or this is what happened before. And that's why we always cut back and we see the origins of these characters, and we get this ideology of each character and what their motives are behind them, eventually banding together. That was the aim of this movie. It was the empowerment of women and the combination of these wonderful but fantabulous characters finally coming together. And that's why I thought it was a plus side. And we start with like Harley Quinn in black masks, or Roman Sionis, his club, and it just has this
his club.
And it's just weird because like everyone has the impression that she's practically untouchable. And when you see this guy who like says this really horrible thing to her, like this derogatory comment, she was just basically saying she just jumped off her, pedestal or whatever it was, and like snapped his legs. And
a lot of knee snapping. From watching this movie, I say there's a lot of knee snapping, like justice for the kneecaps in this movie.
But even then, in that moment, Black Mask knew that. Going up to her, I'm thinking, oh, this is really interesting. Like, they introduced Black Mask very early, and it wasn't seen as this villain shredder. It was seen as this just club owner, like, just talking to Harley very statistically. And I felt like he was just feeling her out, like just talking to her, and she was just I wouldn't even say it was Black Mask. You'd say it's just Roman Sionis, because it wasn't until literally the last scene of the movie really is when you get to see Black Mask. Like, you see, I'm talking about like right at the start, like where he's just like talking to her, and she's just basically saying that she's still with the Joker, and that's why he doesn't do anything. And no one can do
really
anything.
Emphasized that she was untouchable when she's with the Joker, because of how much fear Joker has, even though he's not in this movie at all. But we all know, because illegally, like, there's so much power that he can't touch her. And then she hasn't said it. She doesn't tell anyone because, one, she doesn't want people to find out, and it kind of unravels slowly from the start. But like, the way it starts is obviously it's Harley Quinn's story, and then they do a little bit of like the current time in the film of what happens with her, and then Harley Quinn will come back in and narrate in the fourth wall again and go, "Whoa, we're going to go back to explain something," and then they'd cut back to the so it just felt to me that first 35, 40 minutes was really jumpy. Like, because
very disjointed, isn't it?
Yeah, like it was traveling on the normal current movie timeline, then it hopped back, and then they explained some stuff with other characters like Renee Montoya and Huntress, and then it went jump back to normal time. And then they wanted to explain something about the Bertinellis. Like, they gave Huntress her backstory with her whole family dying and the Bertinelli family dying and all that stuff. And then they jumped forward again, and then they had, I think it was also for like plot reasons. Like, they had to explain it for the plot so people understood.
I think what the aim of this movie, the way that it was written, was to give it that, different feel to it, because I feel like we haven't watched or seen any movie quite like this one, because it's
that's definitely true. I'll give you that. It's definitely true. No one, because there's not a movie like this. It's different.
It's very dynamic, the way it's made from start to finish. And I didn't get that feel of R rating, if you know what I mean. Like, Joker was technically R as well, but I didn't feel like it had that.
It's a lot more of a fun R. Like, there's like gritty R's.
It's very entertaining.
This is like a fun R.
Yeah. No, it's a good, if you're talking about the movie solely based on its entertainment purpose, it was fantastic. I think it just kept you intrigued, and every time they had an action sequence, you were really like kind of captivated by the way that they did it. I think they did very well in capturing Harley Quinn's personality. Like, Margot Robbie does a fantastic job. I don't think there'll be anyone, live action screen that can actually do that performance as well as she does, because she just,
the way she portrays
her mannerisms, her vocals, it's just everything about it. It's just perfect. Each character had their ups and downs. I felt like, there's a very big age gap. We got someone like Renee Montoya. She's a very reliable detective, and you can tell she knows her stuff. It starts off with her plot of, there's this captain who basically takes her superior, is the one that took the promotion, because she actually took the credit for her job. And there's a lot of, in this movie, they really put a highlighter on the fact that a man is always in power, and it always puts the women down. And there's a lot of superiority when it comes to that men to women complex. And I felt like they did really well to say that, hang on, women are important too. We all have this pivotal role that you're completely ignoring. It's just getting put down, but they all show strength in their own ways, in their own characters, that we are still here. And I think it's very important. But going back to the age thing, Cassandra Cain, she looked like she was what, 13, 14, maybe?
Yeah, she was very young, very young.
I'm just saying, compared to Montoya, who looked about, I think she's about 50. Sorry to the actress if she's younger or anything, but I felt like she's a bit past her prime. But I felt like she's maybe like 50, 60 or something.
She portrayed like an older detective well.
Yeah.
And she had fight and stuff. But yeah, I don't understand like how Cassandra Cain is so young, because like if we're going comic book wise, Cassandra Cain is Batwoman. Like she will become Batwoman, and like she's around when Harley Quinn's around in the comics, and like Harley Quinn's obviously that's what I'm saying. Like,
it's not there. I think it's just the whole dynamic with her being this character, this supposedly superhero, she's been labeled now in this movie as a pickpocketer, and she just kind of steals
stuff.
stuff.
Thief.
Yeah. And that's pretty cool, but like it would have been really good to put like a Catwoman in there, to be honest. I know Catwoman's coming in, but Catwoman's like, she's the master thief. Like I don't think anyone can compare in the DC universe like to her in terms of master thieving, because she's literally a cat burglar. And I know that another thing to note is that the Batman movie, I think, is having and that's completely different from this movie, but they're also having Catwoman. So there was a lot of callbacks to the original movie. I mean, this is more of a spin-off of the Suicide Squad of Harley Quinn's character. But yeah, I like that about the movie. It had little subtle things to still show that like it was connected and it flowed on from that movie. Like they had like a poster of Captain Boomerang. They had the iconic Harley Quinn shirt from Suicide Squad that like every girl wears for cosplay like crazy. Like just those little things. And like she spoke about it. She spoke about when she was talking about her past. She skimmed over had a bomb in her neck and all that stuff. And so it was cool to still see that. Yeah, I think this movie does a very good job of telling a story without telling it, if you know what I mean. It shows what the history of the DCU is at the moment without actually saying that, there's a new Batman or Superman's just gone, completely off the radar, and there's a Wonder Woman, Aquaman and all that still going. So I don't know. And they don't even, like you said, with Joker, that does not look like the Joker. The 2D shape of the cartoon, like that did not look like Jared Leto. That's why I think he's done with
completely removed him from it. And I feel like if this is the way they're treating Jared Leto and his Joker, they're going to do something similar along the lines with Batman and how it's been a change of actors. So I feel like that's how they're going to run. Like, because no one really knew how they were going to do it, because they've had movies previously with actors and now they've changed them and they're still connected, so it gets confusing. So maybe this is the way that the DCEU is going to handle it. Like I didn't mind it, but I just knew in the back of my head, like, that's Jared Leto's Joker, and they're not even like there were some scenes where they would have Harley Quinn and Jared Leto's in it, but they don't show his face. Like they purposely keep it out.
Yeah, and this might be an unpopular opinion, and I know people probably disagree with this statement, but I feel like despite Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix doing a fantastic job of that Joker legacy and preserving it very well, and Jared Leto did ruin it for a lot of people, I do feel like he deserves one more shot. I mean, we saw
he didn't get
a
given
clip of Ben Affleck's Batman, and that kind of split a lot of people's opinion. And like people liked him, some people didn't like him, but he really never got to show what he could do with that character. I mean, you can see what you have, see what you can play around with in terms of your acting ability, but I think when it comes to writing, you don't have any control of that. And I felt like Jared Leto's Joker was not.
Yeah, he got screwed over.
Yeah.
It's not his fault. It didn't work out, but
I think they should have kept Suicide Squad plain and simple with their plot line. And that's why I feel like a lot of movies these days try to do above and beyond, because doing a simple plot line is not good enough nowadays. And a lot of movies try to just do this abroad. CGI is fantastic. Like we're in 2020 and there are so many people that just love seeing just wonderful, colors on the screen. And some people disagree, but special effects does always take a place in
I think
these
it's a strong part,
superheroes
and that's
movies.
like what you just said there. Those two things, like colorful and CGI and for fight scenes, that was something that actually I think worked well in this movie. Like definitely very colorful. Like that's something that just comes with Harley Quinn. It's colorful. It's fun.
Yeah.
Like even though she's murdering people and like brutally hurting them, they still make it fun and colorful.
It's
like,
funny, yeah.
Like
it's good.
People might have, if they've seen the movie already or if they've seen the trailers, like when she storms the Gotham Police Department, she's not killing them, but she's like wounding them with flares and like smoke flares, and it's all colorful. Like it was really good. And then they have the fight scenes inside, like all the smoke flares. Like it's colorful and it's creative. So it's something that's I enjoy it. Like I gotta say, the fight scenes in this movie were actually pretty decent. Like choreography, and it didn't look bad.
The choreography
they were pretty good.
Was on point.
They just make Harley Quinn look really OP. She's super OP.
I think her fighting style is unparalleled to anyone else in that movie.
It's crazy.
I felt like she just owned the show, and brilliant acting on her part. And I'm sure she would have worked so hard to get like every part right.
Oh yeah, they would have trained crazy for that.
But they did really make her this very powerful character.
They make her crazy.
The way, I mean, it's very reminiscent of Harley Quinn in the comics. The way she's flipping around, a lot of leg movement. That's what she does. With the hammer as well, shooting. Her mannerisms are perfect, But I felt like when it came to like, she took up the whole police department single-handedly.
She was like slowly reloading her gun as well during the whole time. Like, but like. I'm not hating on that scene. I really enjoyed that scene, but in my head I was like, how is this happening? Like they make the cops look really shit, even though they probably are. Yeah. And it's like
what you said. It was very colorful, and I think the director, I believe her name is Kathy Yan, I think it is. She did a very good job of color, and we look at like James Gunn and Taika. And the way they do Ragnarok and Guardians of the Galaxy, they use this color to kind of, I don't know, it gives that feeling of this movie's, very colorful, very, I don't know, just popping, people are intrigued and, I guess it's more of a charismatic thing. This movie had a lot of charisma from the get-go. All these like the mannerisms of even Black Mask. Ewan McGregor, Mr. Hello There himself was actually really good.
Yeah, and I know he was really good, really quirky.
He was good,
but like it was good, like good acting. Like it just made me laugh. His acting, like, and because it's R-rated, like they could just drop the F-bombs all they wanted to, and he was just saying F off, you F off, F off, everyone F off. Like his character was having a skit, but it was just funny.
Yeah, holding back. I think the way they did his character was so I think unparalleled to his actual comic book character, in my opinion. But I think they did a good job of that.
Yeah,
sometimes when they go off the comic books, and sometimes they don't. And I think it works either way.
It did. I think I enjoyed. Ewan McGregor did good acting. I liked the Black Mask, but it was too late in the film for me. Like I wanted to see it earlier. It was a lot Roman Sionis because he's a split character. He's Roman Sionis, the businessman, in quotes.
We start off with that scene where he's cutting the faces off.
Oh yeah, like that's how you.
That was the main scene.
Yeah, so Harley Quinn narrates all the characters. Like she knows about all these characters, so she narrates them. And her narration is while he's got this Chinese mafia gang, like tied up, and Victor Saz just cuts their faces off, and you see it, and I was like, damn. Like,
I think that was actually the second time they go back, because like the first time, nothing.
The first one was Renee Montoya, I think. The back. See, that's the thing. That's why we say it's a bit jumpy, because
it is very jumpy. Renee Montoya was the Huntress scene where she killed everyone in that diner. Right, that's the first scene.
The first one, because it linked.
The second scene was that
blowing up,
and then she blows up Ace Chemicals, Harley Quinn. They don't say anything about it, but it's literally like forgetting the past. Right? We saw glimpses of Suicide Squad where we saw her in her suit, glasses, and she fell into it, and we saw the back of Joker's head. We never saw his face. And if Jared Leto was still currently the Joker, and Joaquin Phoenix didn't actually come in, then I reckon they would have showed it, because he still technically is the Joker, and that's what they're kind of saying. That's why I feel like they can't continue on with. They can continue on with Margot Robbie, but I think in terms of tying everything together, I think Suicide Squad 2 is going to be very interesting. But more to the point of the plot, very disjointed, very different. I think the way that they did Cassandra Cain as a pickpocketer was different. Renee Montoya was just an expert detective, neglected by anyone or
proper
any of her
Renee
peers.
Montoya. That was proper Renee Montoya. They stuck to her character well.
Yeah, but I felt like she was more of a beat cop. Like she, I mean, not so much like a rogue cop, but she.
Well, she got
I feel like this
forced to be
movie
rogue because it shows you how shit the GCPD is. Like they're shit at doing their job. So she goes like I think even Harley Quinn said it. Like,
I think that's
what I'm saying.
the role of
she was
Gotham,
she was like all the cop movies they get stuff done when they do it without the badge, and that's what she literally did in this movie. Like,
I think what happens in this segment with Montoya is that she's just like this really stern character that kind of just sticks by the book, whereas you got these really off the book characters that kind of do whatever they want. And that's why I felt like Canary was a bit in between. Like she wanted to do what was good, and she did save Harley's life after that bar scene. They cut to that bar scene, and she sees, and she just she does very well to hold her own and saves Harley from that. And while Harley was just drunk, and it was so good, like kind of good to see her how powerful she was, because I didn't think she would take out those people like so brutally. I mean, I know it's an R-rated movie, but I think for the fundamentals of her being just seen as she's just a singer, and then jumping to her like smashing a guy's head through a car
she's just pretty
door.
badass. It made
she just doesn't hold back in that situation.
And she's not, and really she the whole movie, not till the last fight scene. The whole movie she was fighting really with one hand tied behind her back because she didn't even use her ability.
Yeah.
She didn't show any of it. That's why
she didn't.
Like, when I think about it now, like I'm a bit on the fence with the Black Canary character because it's so different to comic book. Like even Arrows, CW's not the same. This one's not the same.
Very different.
We haven't had an accurate.
I mean, there's a lot of exceptions for this movie though. Like we can, I got to say the music was really good, especially around the fight scenes. It was fantastic. The way that it just gets you pumped up. You listen to it, and then you just see a fight scene. You see like Harley Quinn smash some guy's face in with a baseball bat. And what she does, like
upbeat tempo, it kind of flowed with the.
It kind of gets you pumped up.
Yeah. You kind of get invested in it because the music's right, and like pushing you through like a wave. Like it's a weird way of saying it. But
so going back to Black Mask, but I want to talk a bit more about Zsasz because we've seen a lot of reiterations of Zsasz. But I thought, what did you think of his character? Because I thought he was a bit more calm than usual.
He was calm, but I think it's like he's crazy, like psychotic calm. I think that's what it was.
Yeah,
I didn't mind
scary though.
He was good because he was scary. He was weird, creepy, scary, which is what Zsasz is. But like, because it's R-rated, they really push the real creepy.
Yeah, true.
And like what you wouldn't really get normally. Like if it wasn't R-rated, they'd probably just go for more the murdery type. This was like creepy. Like he had the scars, and it was kind of also
that was kind of like
because it's like a 2020 film. They have to be a little bit trendy, so I feel like this is like their middle ground. Like Zsasz was like wearing trendy clothes, but he was still got all his scars from all his murders, and he was.
But I what do you think about? I mean, I know I have referenced Marvel like quite a lot, but when he's got those scars on his body, I felt like that was kind of like a bit like Killmonger. You know how he always marks it when he kills someone. He kind of puts like a mark on his chest.
That's always
he saves it. He always puts a mark on his chest, but like the way that he's so like. I don't know, statistic, just kind of just very slow. The way he's just very calm, collected. I felt like sometimes I thought that Ewan McGregor's characters, Roman, is different because I felt like they had a bit of a character switch because I thought Zsasz is more. I thought Zsasz would be like he's an expert sniper. He's an assassin, by day and night. He's a perfect hitman. Yeah, I just didn't think he had a good character. I just didn't think he had a good character outlet. I felt like they didn't use him as much as I thought they would. We saw a lot in that movie, and I thought it was very different to a lot of movies you'll ever see about superheroes. But I mean, the prison fight scene was really good. And
all the Harley Quinn fight scenes I think were good. The last scene, it wasn't really a fight scene, more the car chase scene. That was a bit unrealistic.
yeah, I didn't think I liked the there was a musical scene, and I know people will probably say, and that happened in between. So before Harley, to paint a picture, before Harley actually enters the GCPD, she's actually forced to practically negotiate with Black Mask, who's literally prepared to kill her. And she just is like, "Oh, I heard you talking about a diamond. I'll help you." Yeah, and she always talks herself out of it. And you know what I love? Before that scene, there was an interrogation scene, and he looks very calm in the way he's talking, and then he gets kind of agitated because this character of Black Mask gets very angry so easily, and Harley Quinn just kind of gets under his skin. It's like, "Oh, I know who you are. You know, you're gonna talk to me about, your plan." And she was just took the Mickey out of the whole entire thing.
Yeah, like it's more the fourth wall breaking again. Like she just calls out like the stereotypes of villains, and which is
it's so
like,
true though.
not like Deadpool, but like it works. It's funny, and it was.
But that's literally what a bad guy would do. They just go, "Oh, this is my plan. This is my plan," and just as he's about to say, "Oh, I'm gonna kill you," they escape or something. And she literally said all that, except she actually had to bargain. And she came into the thing, and she just, I think with their was it like, not bean bags, what are they called? Like those little, I think they are kind of like little, and he just shot people, like the cops in the head with those things, with those, the gun she was holding. She's kind of putting the canister in.
I think it was just like, it was like a big shotgun, but she was just shooting like.
Yeah, but she wasn't killing anyone. The only time she killed one was when Kane was with her, and after the fight scene broke out, she got her, and she broke a lot of legs. There were a lot of legs that were broken through this whole entire movie.
A lot of legs and knees and ankles just getting snapped.
I felt like it was a bit unnecessary. Like they could have done.
It was sick. Like it was sick, and they really like. You hear that they probably obviously added in after for effect, but they really put the crunch noise in. Like
it really
hit.
makes it that much real.
It made like you feel the pain because it's like the guy's knees getting crunched in, and
I thought there was a lot of repressed emotion in this movie. We saw Canary, the way she's feeling, and then we saw Harley Quinn, and like even Cassandra Cain, how she's sitting on the stairs and Canary walks in, and she's just you can hear this abusive like kind of stepfather. I don't want her. There's so much repressed emotion in this movie, and you kind of feel bad for each person's situation because they're all kind of ruled by a man's life. And everyone's saying, like, even this opening scene with the bar, and just kind of going back to that opening scene with Margot when she kind of finally comes out drunk before she just runs the truck and takes chemicals. These girls talking. It's like, oh, she always can't go back to that man, and she can't take it on her own. And I felt like there was a lot of that needed to be said so that she's like, you know what, I can handle myself. I can do this. I can do that. So,
yeah. See, I thought it was good. Like the more I think about it, like they did have that underlying story. Like all these women. They didn't need a man to run the top, which is what was good. Like if I can pick up that story line and like not storyline,
it's like an underlying sequence. It's like an unspoken.
Then I think it did its job, and it's good with like the current times how we're trying to make it more equal for women, and so I enjoyed that. That was good. I enjoyed that part. It was just
that's what I need to understand from this movie. It's like it's not really an assembly of heroes. It's more of independent storylines of these charismatic characters. But you know what I didn't like, or maybe it just helped strengthen the power of maybe women if it's viewed a different way. But I thought Zaz was very sexist. The way that he was just like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, and like the way that he was talking to people, like he's putting them down. That was a really freaky scene with Black Mask, and they say about the diamond is lost or something, or someone's got it, and like he's really fuming, he's really angry, and there's this woman that's like laughing in the background, not completely
Oh,
unrelated.
yeah.
And he
that
goes
whole
up to
scene didn't
her,
feel right.
and you know what Zaz says? Zaz goes, "Yeah, she was laughing at you." And this is the encouragement of Zaz, the manipulation that he plays. And I felt like there was a lot more to Zaz than we really thought, because we only saw one side of him, and all he was doing was kind of pulling the strings. I mean, the real Black Mask may have been Zaz, because he's really bringing out his bad nature, encouraging that really manipulative behavior. And he gets her up, embarrasses her to dance. And I gotta say, it was kind of creepy. It was kind of creepy. I just get that really, sickening vibe. And I thought that's kind of perfect Zaz, not so much Black Mask, but that Zaz type
the
of
pacing of the film and how it was all flowing and like the vibe. That scene, it really fell out of place. Like when we were sitting there watching it, I was just like, "This is weird. This doesn't feel right." Like
it's like it's a bit dodgy, isn't it? I mean, that's
probably.
I just didn't think.
That scene
go to that
probably
length.
the only thing that I was a bit like, shouldn't have been in. Shouldn't really made a cut. That's in my opinion. But
well, I mean, I think there's positives and negatives to that scene.
Watches the movie, I think they'll know what we're talking about. It's the scene where in the nightclub and the chick's forced onto the table. Yeah, it just didn't fit. Yeah, for me.
But it was sickening. Like I agree with you in this part, in the fact that it was sickening was that, like, he screamed at that, like she's got her like sitting, like standing right in front of her, and he points to the other guy that was laughing with her or just joking around and says, rip her clothes off. And I thought, oh, like, where is this going? Like, where is this?
Yeah,
and it's like this abusive treatment, sexism of women. That's why I thought it was really like intimidating and like scary, creepy, all the above. It's just really confronting to see that, because it's like they don't care. And the way that they do that is that they don't care about whatever women. They think they're on top. But what I loved about this movie was the transition of not so much Black Mask, but when Roman, because he was still kind of technically Roman, finds out about Harley and the Joker breaking up. That's when he kind of makes that move, saying, she's not by herself anymore. So it's like he's making that power play. Yeah. So he's just like, I can take advantage of her now. Because everyone's scared of Joker. Everyone, I mean, despite them not saying anything, everyone's scared of Joker. He's like the king.
The Joker has so much power
of the underground. Yeah. He's like the underbelly's king. I mean, he does all that stuff, and although they didn't do his character justice at all in the Suicide Squad movie, I felt like he's still got that underlying effect amongst a lot of the gangs. There's a lot of gang violence and history of the gangs in Gotham.
Yeah, I've got to say, like, this isn't really like about the characters in this movie at all, but like the one thing I enjoyed was seeing more detail, not just geographically. Like, we actually got to see Gotham, and we got to see places in Gotham, and we got to see the streets of Gotham. We got to see like the gangs, like you said, of Gotham, because it's something we've never seen yet. We never got the Batfleck film, and they really had like 1 or 2 minutes in Gotham in Justice League, and they really haven't had a lot. And like even BBS didn't have heaps. It had nothing like that, and I enjoyed that just because I like seeing that type of side of Gotham. And I just like, I know. Yeah,
I don't think we get enough of that. Is what. We
haven't in the DCEU. We haven't had any of it, so that's why seeing that type of stuff was cool.
Yeah, not in the DCEU. Yeah.
And like,
because it's just too comic book
happening. I was like, wouldn't Batman be alerted to this stuff? Like, I know that's being picky because we all know the situation that the DCEU is in. But like in my head, I'm like, all this is happening, and Batman's doing nothing about it. Like,
well, to be fair, I felt like that was like much more of the case with Suicide Squad. Like, there's this, enchantress, creature with Enchantress and her brother. It was like, and she was like using all these mystical powers, and there was like little skies lighting up, and they had to like check. And she looked really kind of scary there. I felt like that was more of a, whereas this was just more of a Gotham crime violence. When you see it,
I think it's more simple, and I enjoyed that.
Can you just answer one question for me that I just didn't get? why did Black Mask, after saying go get the diamond, yes, you can go get the diamond, why did he then put a $500,000 bounty, $500,000 bounty
He said,
on?
I heard him in the movie. He said, "Oh, he'll make it competitive for her, like Harley."
Like,
So that's
why
why.
go to that trouble? Did he know that? Did he ever kind of figure out that? Oh, you know what? Maybe I can't trust her because realistically, she just
it's
made
plot. Like it makes it more
it's
plot.
plot, but like it didn't. What I'm saying is that it didn't make sense. Why would he make it harder for her if you bring her in and she was going to betray her?
He doesn't like.
But she was going to betray him anyway. If we just kind of tip over to the end, she looked her in the bathroom and said, or whatever it was, that closet, and said, and she's like, I'm a bad person. Like, she admitted it because she knows what she was doing. Why did he make it so difficult for her if she was basically the hired gun for that movie? That's my take on it. I mean, someone might say it's different, but I felt like this movie really failed to give a simple plot because I didn't know what was going on at the time. And I think we are pretty comic book kind of savvy and knowledgeable in terms of this. And I don't know how we didn't kind of see where this was going, but at the same time, we knew it was going to come together eventually. I didn't like the cuts, but Black Mask understands the hierarchy to this Gotham underbelly. That's why he didn't make his move. And $500,000 is not that much. I thought, you know what, like $2-3 million on her. And so you can tell, like, there's some type of like, oh, you know what, Joker would have put a few million because he's got that money. So I like that. There's a little nods to the DCU and the fact that, he can't be too good. At the same time, he wasn't that threatening, scary, angry, crazy, unpredictable.
It really made Black Mask psychotic. Even Zaz was way more psychotic, and he Ewan McGregor is just so led on Black Mask even more, Roman even more, but.
Yeah. So what did you think about? We haven't really talked about Bertinelli. We know that the history of Bertinelli is that they
put a lot of time into it.
Basically, they did put, but the whole plot line is really based on the diamond.
Realistically, without if there was no Huntress,
the inscriptions on the diamond, isn't it? On the inside of the diamond has the key to the Bertinelli fortune. So, but. Going to the ending, because I think that's kind of where we're heading off here, is that when she kind of when Zaz finally dies, and there's that accumulation of all those heroes finally, kind of mercenaries, come together. You see this, you see the Huntress, and I think we both knew at that stage that she was going to come in because everyone was there, and he had the gun, and
you knew that was her entrance. The final scene, and not the final scene, but the final act, and this is the team up scene. This is where they all come together.
And she actually shoots him, and he dies. I love the comical, the overkilling with Harley. I burst out into laughter. It was so funny. Not having to from not being able to move to trying to stab him 6 or 7 times.
I think that's one thing we didn't, before we keep to, I think that's one thing we haven't really mentioned. Like this movie, I did laugh a lot because some of it is so stupid that it's actually funny. You just think, what the hell's going on? It's just funny because it's so dumb. That's why I think this type of R-rated movies are real funny. It's not gory, but it's
that's what we need to remember. The aim of this movie is to unite women of all ages to create a sense of uniqueness through charismatic fashion, amongst everything. And I mean, it appealed to men and to anyone as well who was interested in the comic book connection. But I felt like knowing that they've been neglected, treated like shit the whole entire lives, each one of them been through that drama, and to come out stronger and unite was very empowering. And there's a lot of women empowerment in this movie because everyone was saved by everyone. We saw Kane was saved by Canary, and then Canary also saved Harley Quinn. Yeah. And then she wouldn't have got the job as the new driver if she didn't really show her true colors in terms of her fighting ability, because we know Canary's probably the best in the business when it comes to fighting. I thought she was very not underwhelming, but didn't. Again, no one really had that potential, and I felt like there was a lot of strain on where the plot was going instead of character development, because one thing's just distorted amongst the characters is the way that it jumps from one into another. It's really hard to create a foundation for character development if you don't get really a sense of plot. I'm sure if someone goes back and just puts the movie in correct order, people will be like, you know what, that's a decent movie. I got some sense of reliability about all these characters, and it makes sense for them to culminate, at the end of the movie.
I'd like to see the movie. I'd like to see the movie if it was shot chronologically.
Yeah.
If they did the backstory of all the characters and then from then on, and it would be interesting to see that. But before we go back to that final fight scene we're talking about, the one thing I did like was the characters, how they were all being introduced. They all linked. There was no one that just got thrown in that didn't feel right, didn't sit right. Literally, all the characters that were introduced, they all linked. Harley Quinn blew up Ace, and then Ace got blown up. So Montoya came and looked, and then Montoya was connected to Canary. Canary was connected to the kid because the kid was wanted for having the diamond. And the diamond is the Bertinelli diamond. That's Huntress. You know what I mean? So that whole connection of all of them. That's what I enjoyed. That they didn't. You know what I mean? The writers got it right in that sense. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I one thing I really liked was the acting was superb. Margot Robbie, needs no introduction. Fantastic. I actually liked Black Canary, but my favorite, honestly, was unpopular opinion, probably Huntress, because she's so awkward. It was funny. She just made all these
acted really awkwardly, but she purposely did.
Her name is Mary Elizabeth Winstead. She's actually, I've seen her in something else. I can't remember, but she's really
a familiar face.
Yeah, and so does Rosie Perez plays Detective Montoya, and she's been in the game for a while. But Cassandra Cain, Ella J. Basco, the actress, she actually made that's her film debut, which I thought she was
pretty strong debut.
Yeah, pretty. I mean, she was the main kind of. I mean, if we're ignoring the Harley Quinn kind of and Bertinelli's, everyone was after the kid. That was I think she did very well.
No, she did. Yeah,
yeah.
I think where I was a bit what the hell was the final scene. So the final fight scene where they go to Amusement Mile.
Before we get to that, can I just talk about? I didn't get to say. I just want to say the musical part. What did you think about that? I didn't say it. I kind of forgot about to say that. I mean, how do I kind of conceptualize that scene? Because it's what happened? Was that a mental block?
It was when she was getting tortured. Well, she wasn't even getting tortured. That's not the right word.
Because remember, we saw that scene in the trailer.
And she was getting hit. She was getting hit in the head. So I think my interpretation was she was getting hit in the head. So because she's a bit she's a bit psycho. She was getting hit in the head, and it was her brain. That was what was happening in her brain because she was getting hit in the head so hard. I just don't know why we had to see it. It's cool. I didn't but I didn't think it was necessary.
What do you think about just a few things before we get to the end? What do you think about the titles, the actual grievances? I think they were called.
Oh yeah, I like that. That's
they all
film.
had an agenda against her. What did you think about that whole concept? It was so different. I didn't ever see titles, and then I'll say what they did, what she did to them.
Yeah, it was proper Harley Quinn. That's how Harley Quinn is. I think it was very, I said, colorful. All those titles were super colorful and visual.
But the way she stops it, narrates, and then is oh yeah, I remember this person. She did this and they did that, and then that's how it kind of went from there.
Yeah, they gave detail to characters we didn't even need to have detail about, and
see, that's exactly what I'm saying. It wasn't necessary at the time. They could have just said this is this person and that's it. But all these random characters, I don't know if they were little Easter eggs or they just chucked them in just for the sake of it. But going to that one of the last ones was when that guy chucks this bomb, and Bruce, who is actually the hyena.
The hyena.
goes for that thing and he dies. But yeah, what did you think of the hyena? I thought there was supposed to be more than
normally
one.
there's two. Yeah, normally there's two. So I was like, where's the other one? Because I know
Again, Bruce. Like, it's funny because the way she's like, "Oh, I named it after that hunk, Bruce."
Hunky Bruce Wayne guy, Ben Affleck hunky.
It's funny. Again, like it's another callback to without actually mentioning. Yep, Batfleck is there, and they could have probably put his I guess a cameo in it. And we saw what happened with Shazam. That scene where the kid's sitting at the table at school at the end of the movie, and that's not Henry Cavill, but we saw the body double and we saw the suit, and I thought they were going to do something like that, like saw the back of his head or something.
I think Batman's too much crap with Batman.
Yeah. I think Batman. I don't know. Batman and Superman might be done. I mean, I think that's kind of left to the DCU because they're kind of excelling. I mean, Henry Cavill's doing a very good job as The Witcher, so it's just to see him back would be very different, I think. Fight scenes were beautiful, like the way that it was done, like colorful. I thought the way she kind of entered that smoke, by the way, that prisoner scene, like I think you mentioned this before, but like the colors and the smoke as she kind of enters and she's got that like sadistic smile, and it's just like that. That pink and blue, that same kind of colors.
Yeah, colors.
Yeah,
it was good.
Yeah, it's a good homage to the Suicide Squad, kind of sticking to that, cutting her hair as well at the start of the movie. It's really good.
Yeah, it was like, I think, like I look at it at different perspectives, but they do it so they can sell more toys, different versions of her. Because she's like a big marketing factor for DC, but also like obviously it's a sign of her character developing and changing and being independent. But like there's more than one meaning in that circumstance.
Yeah, I thought there was a lot of hidden meanings that probably we haven't even covered.
Like that's the thing though. We got to reiterate. Like we've watched it once.
Yeah,
we haven't done any research either. This is just us rambling, venting.
Purely based on what we've seen and what we appreciate of this movie. I thought it's very different.
Just venting the movie.
Yeah, you could tell just before we get onto the end when Zaz dies. Kind of just before, I felt like Black Mask is just too emotionally unstable. Like he's just consistently every time he's got this outburst of anger. And it's actually really funny to watch. Like I was watching it, and it's kind of funny. Besides that scene at his own club, with a woman on dancing. Besides that, I thought he's like you said with the swearing, the excessive swearing. It's funny. It's really funny to see. But Zaz dies without that potential. I mean, I felt like he had to be a sharpshooter in that movie because making him that sharpshooter would make him a bit more intimidating. I mean, what did you think of his character? I mean, he was good, but what did you think about his ending? Because it ended pretty bluntly for him.
Yeah, I was a bit like, oh wow, that's it. Like, I think his death was you felt good to see him die because he was a bit of a prick in the movie, but that was his act, so obviously it worked. But
he did a good job.
To me personally, I was like, oh damn, that's another Batman villain just been killed off. Like, I want to see. Same thing. Like, obviously, this whole thing's spoiler. If you're listening now, you've clearly passed spoiler part.
I think we covered it pretty well at the start. That it was, it gave it a feel.
Both Victor Zsasz and Black Mask are dead now, so that's two Batman villains gone.
Yeah, I mean, Zsasz is pretty big, but Black Mask, he's massive in terms of the DCU. And to kill him off. In such a brutal way, and we'll get to that in a second. It was just Cassandra Cain gets everyone's kind of talking and kind of going, oh, you did this, you did that, or I'm trying to get you and whatever, and all put a gun on each other. She's got a crossbow out, and then she's kind of over here, and she's just a girl, and she's just kind of looking out the window, and everyone comes together, and it's in the white light, and we see this scene of Black Mask standing there. And he's got this army, and they're like, "Oh, he's got an army," and he looks really good. Like the way that he comes in, and he kind of looks like that. That mask. What did you think of the mask, by the way?
Oh, sexy.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was very I think it was very well done. The way that the mask was made.
It reminded
felt
me
like-
the Arkham
Yeah.
games with that black mask. Like,
Yeah, I didn't think it was an actual mask, if you know what I mean. Like I thought it was a bit more like he would actually it kind of happened to him. I mean, I'm probably thinking about something else, but
yeah.
I don't know. I just thought
I
thought it'd
just
probably
wish he
done
put
a
it
bit
on
better.
earlier. Or
Yeah.
hadn't.
I mean-
well, no, he didn't have a reason to put it on earlier. Like his reason was to put the mask on was because of the ending. But I just kind of wish we saw more Black Mask.
Yeah.
Like Ewan McGregor's a good actor, and he was good acting in this. But like, I just would have liked it. Me personally, more Black Mask.
He's more of a like criminal mastermind. Like he's a tactical analyst. You know, he focuses on consolidating power through like fear and intimidation. He does these psychological like torture techniques. He's very like intuitive that way. And I didn't feel like, I can't remember the last time I was like kind of trying to think of like how amazing would it be if we see Black Mask in the DCU. Like not even like even before the Superman, like even the Nolan days of Batman. Like imagine Black Mask being in a movie, because he's got so much potential. We saw how much he did in those. Well, not so much the Arkham games as it was I think it was Arkham Origins, putting the hit out on Batman and getting all these villains to kind
Those storylines were awesome.
I love Black Mask. Like he's such a good and fascinating character. But yeah, Roman Sionis. I think Ewan McGregor did a very good job. I just felt like you said, it ended pretty poorly for him. Kind of just. But we open to this scene where they're all standing there and they all get these weapons and stuff, and they're ready to go to war practically, and they go down.
They team up. They realize they need to work together, and this is where, because before this whole scene where they all go, we need to work together, and like the movie shouldn't have been called Birds of Prey until that scene, really, because it wasn't.
Yeah,
if I was going to say anything about this movie, it shouldn't be called Birds of Prey. Only the next movie that now would get a spin-off because of the ending of the movie should be called Birds of Prey, because this isn't. Yeah, but no one
really culmination of. I mean, we'll get into that in a second, but like I felt like it is. So they kind of drop from the ceiling, and then they just go down this kind of tunnel, and the fighting is really fun. I love how Harley's got her hammer now. It's just really entertaining to watch. Just bashing all these thugs who are wearing masks. I believe they're a part of that. Is it the golden? Oh, was it the golden dragon, or it was like the the guy that he gets.
Yeah,
I those masks were those people that he had kind of accumulated this gang. They didn't talk about it much, but he had created this like kind of army through the gangs that he had created. And you know what was really good? I liked Zaz. Was Bertinelli's motive wasn't because she was trying to get the diamond, but because Zaz was the person that killed one of the people that killed her family. And we saw that she survived. I don't know how she survives, 16, rounds of SMGs at her.
Yeah,
but she drops down and apparently she survives. And they find her and she's apparently okay. And she gets kind of raised and trained and all that. And I like that backstory, but that happened at the end. And before she kind of opens her mouth as Huntress, she had this introduction, and Zaz was one of the people, and she said, now he's off my list, crossed him off. And he said, no, well, Black Mask actually was responsible for that. He hired Zaz. He hired that guy to kill the Bertinellis, to get the gang. Is it not so much territory? That's it. But just to get that power, accumulating power through just killing the Bertinellis. And that's why I thought it was very different in the way that they handled it. But I did you like that, or did you feel like it would have been better if they tied her more to the fact that it's a family fortune that's on the line? But she's never been money or has she?
Yeah, she never cared about the family fortune. Yeah, it was only when Renee Montoya said to her, "You know what they're fighting for? Like what all this is about? It's about your family's money." But no, all she cared about was revenge. Ever since her parents got murdered, revenge.
It's been a bit kind of fluent through her character development in comics or TV. Even Arrow, if you talk about her, I really liked her in Arrow, like the actress whoever played I think she could have got a lot more money. She could have got, and she was like, no, I want vengeance. I want to kill the person responsible for it. But it was more. I think that in Arrow compared to this one is that her husband died in Arrow and her father was behind it. So that was corruption. It's just corruption, but it's not so much her family were completely wiped. Like not only just her immediate family, all the Bertinellis, anyone that had claim to that fortune. But it was good. And Cassandra Cain admitted to swallowing the diamond. It was pretty funny. But yeah, they get down there.
Took her a whole movie to put it out.
In my opinion, I think it was all a ruse, but because we never actually see it, you know. I think it was all like a whole, you know, thing that she was just like, no, she never did. But I think they do highlight at the end. That's one thing I was a bit kind of out of. But the fight scene, what do you think about them all kind of like doing their own bits, and they're kind of really protecting Kane throughout the whole entire thing?
There was the whole one scene clip where it follows Cassandra Cain around, and it's all the girls fighting and like keeping her protected, and then the fight scene would follow on to the next character, and then it would follow on to the next character, all protecting her. Yeah, that was good. It was a bit of unity, like showed the unity of all the girls and like the strength of the girls, and
having that one agenda.
Yeah.
No,
that was good.
What did you think about finally coming out, and then that tunnel, and then they've got like a whole row of these people?
In my head, I was watching that. I was like, don't you know there's going to be people out there? Like, that was the dumbest thing. They just walked straight out and then they got shot. Like, that was, I watched that and I was like, that was dumb. That was
straight off the bat, I think we can say that this movie had a lot of exceptions. We can say that there's so many things we could like nit and pick and dissect out of this. But, I mean, for what it was, you know, the entertainment that it was, I thought it was entertaining, like, throughout it. There was no complaints. But Black Mask shooting that one like bullet shot, that's the only time he actually shot someone, by the way. Like he didn't do anything besides, he didn't even kill anyone. I mean, he kind of got other people to do it, but he just shot Montoya and she ended up fine. And then she's like bleeding out, and then she's trying to like get through to Canary. And what does she do?
Yeah,
she just,
she finally Canary cries, and it was good. It was good to see it. I just felt like the whole movie, obviously it was the build up in the character development of Black Canary Dinah Lance, but I just felt like the whole movie she was fighting with one hand tied behind her back. But you know what I found
right there.
You know what I found interesting, and I kind of picked up on, and for anyone that would listen listen out for it, like if you watch the movie again, Renee Montoya knew she had ability. Like, well, I guess they called it.
Yeah, I didn't think of that.
No, she knew because they had a conversation earlier in the movie where she said, "I knew your mother, and your mother did good things for the city and stuff." So in my head, I was like, was Dinah's mum the Black Canary as well? Like, is that a hint to her being
that'd be very cool? But, that's right, because there was that scene, and like,
she said, "What's her name?" Mother, and I knew, like, she didn't really. I knew she had ability. I called the cops, and you weren't there. And there's a lot of animosity that they have. So there's all these hidden connections we didn't realize. Yeah, I kind of picked that up later.
But I wish they kind of went more into that instead of just kind of getting this.
They kind of just used it really, like, because then when after Renee Montoya got shot, and she's like, they needed someone to cover them. That's why she does the canary cry. She's like, use it, do it, and like no one knows what she's talking about, but she obviously does. So she knows she has that power. So there's something there. There's a bit of backstory history there that's not told for you, but teased for you. So that was in big intrigue. I'd like to see them expand on that, but I don't know how they could.
That lack of I guess it was more of that familiarity with the characters not being there. Like we if you have an assumed knowledge of like based off comic books, anyone that watched this movie would probably be like, oh, that's cool. But there is a niche kind of market with comic book kind of enthusiasts such as ourselves that actually appreciated the movie, really liked it, but thought it could be better in some aspects because we know what the comic book potential could be. And then if you look at something like someone just watching it just for the entertainment, I think they'll actually really enjoy it because as we've seen, Rotten Tomatoes, for instance, I mean, it might change over time, but the overall consensus is that people enjoyed the movie just because it was just that, that digest, that charismatic, impactful, explosive, colorful design of that movie. I think even despite there not being the most special effects, I thought it was really good. It was, and they finally skipped to where Harley Quinn starts rollerblading. So
it was the chase scene. So like Black Mask got away from Amusement Mile, and he has Cassandra Cain, and then so the rest of the characters get like Black Canary, Huntress, Renee. They all get left behind. So this is now just solely
just that scene. Just to build what you just said before I forget. How did it make sense? While Canary was crying, right? I think what I'm going to say. Harley Quinn, middle of that cry, gets launched when she's got her rollerblades.
Yeah, they use it as like a propel. Yeah,
a little boost. Like
I shook my head when I saw that. I was like, "What the? Doesn't make sense."
How does it make sense? The person who wrote this or directed this, whatever. How does it make sense for them to her to take out a whole squad of guys that are face in front of her, but just because Harley Quinn's got her back to her, she can kind of give her this boost?
It would throw her to the floor.
She was doing. Yes, we know how powerful Black Canary's cry is. It's really like sonic, but she was just holding her, kind of bending down. I was holding her kind of ears on either ends with her fingers in her ears and kind of just going with it. And that's how she kind of caught up. And then the Huntress came in with her bike, right?
Yeah, the Huntress came in and gave the assist, and then she sacrificed herself just so, Harley Quinn, realistically, Harley Quinn was just keeping up with the car, and then they were shooting at her. She was flipping around. Some of it didn't logically, understand how they could do it. But
this is what I had a problem with when she launched her bike went, that's okay, I'm okay with that. But then when Black Mask is like, "Oh, stop the car," she gets in front of it, and then she does this backflip that ends up on the windshield of the car. Tell me how does she end up there? Physics, would. Yeah. I mean, I know this is just taking the comic book knowledge of her, but she's not anything. She's just charismatic and she's just athletic. I get it. I just don't know how she was able to do that scene. There's a lot of slow motion. I didn't mind the slow motion because it was really entertaining to see those shots. Even the broken legs were a bit funny as well. But I don't know. I just didn't think that a lot of the fighting styles were very similar. You look at Black Canary, the way she fights. It's very similar to because Black Canary had the baseball bat. And she was using it just as well as Harley Quinn. I would have loved to see her struggle with the baseball bat and going, "Oh no, I can't do it as well as you can. Can you give me an assist?" And she does this little scene where she can help her or something. I wish for something like that. But it kind of happened "Oh yeah, you're good at this, you're good at that, you're good at this. You can do it, you can do it, you can do it." And that's where I was like, "Oh, it's a bit." Black Canary is supposed to be this really talented, and I felt like the best scene of her was that scene in the alleyway with those two guys, and she just showed her powers, and I was like, that's really cool. I want to get that more raw Black Canary. She's a very soft heart, and she's very hurt in this movie. I could see that. A lot of conflict, but she's a brilliant fighter. Nothing can compare to her fighting ability. Even in the Justice League, I felt like she competes at that level, in my opinion. But yeah. So we get onto the dock. What do you think about that scene? So just as the car crashes.
Oh, it felt like Gotham when you're in that dock.
Well, it's got the statues on those sides, isn't it?
Well, I looked at all this. I thought it reminded me of the bloody penguin. It looked like the penguin with the top hat.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's a reference.
Yeah, little. I don't know if that was I don't know, like a message to us saying that there's all these villains there, because it felt like one of them. I swear, I thought like one of them looked like the Riddler. I mean, you're saying Penguin, so maybe they did that intentionally. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, there was heaps of them though, and like it was good. Like it was like the voiceover of Ewan McGregor's Black Mask. But this is Black Mask. This is not Roman anymore. This is Black Mask. He's like, you'll never have. Like it's basically just reiterating the story and the storyline about men and having always being leaders and
that's what I'm like. I loved where he was like you need me.
Yeah, you need me.
Like I don't. And I think in that moment she was just like, you know what? I realized I don't need you. She had all these women around her that were, doing really well on her own, very inspirational. And I think she realized that he used that protection through fear. And Harley finally stands up for herself and goes, I'm not afraid of you. And I mean,
classic Harley, she misses the one shot that she got.
She has one shot, and she gets rid of the statue of the head. And then,
And then Cassandra Cain snuck the grenade in a pocket, and then put it in Roman's, and then
and then what does she do?
Well, Harley Quinn saves her, pushes Black Mask off the cliff, off the pier, into the water, and then you see him literally just obliterate into little pieces, which is really lovely.
The lake, he just blows them to these little, and I was shocked. I was like, whoa.
Right there.
I feel like Ewan McGregor, I know he's busy with his schedule. He's going to be filming Obi-Wan very shortly. And if he is, where the script I think is still being made, is that like I thought there's still a lot of potential to be there. And that's what I think. There are like a lot of characters, if they do move on, there's not much potential. I think we cut to the end scene where they're all sitting and eating. And they're all really having a good time. And tell me if I'm wrong, but like they're all having a good time, really accepting their old fates. And I knew once you go in the bathroom, I was like, oh, okay. I was like, okay, she's actually gonna, and everyone's celebrating and kind of making the joke, she's actually gonna go to the toilet. But then when Harley Quinn went and helped her, I'm like, oh no, they're definitely like gone. They're going somewhere. And they actually escaped, steal a car. And this might be unpopular opinion, but I felt like that message of women uniting was kind of not chucked out the window, but it was kind of less kind of heard. I know they want to be independent and all that, but like it was the unity of women that made them so powerful in the first place. And what does she do? She abandons them. She leaves them and says, I'm happy on my own. I'm all, but then she's got a friend. Did Kane just forget that, Harley Quinn wanted to kill her? Like, did she just not? And a canary like saved her like 3 times. Did she not remember that? Or how many times did Canary? She cut her tape off, trying to rescue her. But before that, she gave her money, saying, go feed yourself something. There's always a lot of care about her, and what she just steals her car with Harley. You know what I mean? Like, there's not much. I thought there'd be a lot less. A bit more animosity for Harley, because all she did, I know she saved her life, just launched him out of the dock there, but I felt like Black Canary deserved a lot better in that movie, because I understand Huntress, fair enough. The way that Huntress was made was like this kind of having that family fortune as the baseline of the plot, but also having kind of Black Canary there. Singing was fantastic, by the way. I liked the singing, really good. The breaking of the glass was a bit of a teaser. I was like, are we going to see anything of that? But yeah, what do you think?
What, the whole
ending scene?
Just
the ending. Just the way it ended, and the whole movie in general.
I'll start with the end scene. The end scene, at the end, I thought, that was a pretty meh way of ending it. Like, considering how well the movie was going, I was like, oh, really? That's how they ended? Like, Cassandra Cain not adopted, but apprentice, she said. She said she was Harley Quinn's apprentice. And the one thing I was saying, I thought, Harley Quinn used put the diamond in and got money out for the diamond. I'm like, dude, I'm guessing Helena Bertinelli, like the Huntress, didn't care. Like that was her money, but then she did steal it. So yeah, anyway, that was what I was thinking. But overall, the ending was, I was a bit like, oh, okay, that was a bit odd. And then she like fourth wall breaks into the camera and winks, and then drives off. And yeah, cool. Doesn't really set up for much. Kind of puts everything on an end.
Anticlimactic, doesn't it?
Yeah. But overall, it was okay. It was a good movie. I think it wasn't incredible. It wasn't crazy. It was good action. Like if you want to go for a bit of fun and have a laugh, 100%, that's what you're looking for here, because it's funny. It's got a bit of action, and it's got a bit of like, I don't know, seeing people get hurt, but not like horrible. Like someone's face gets cut off, but it's not that bad. You know what I mean? But like,
I thought it would be a lot darker, and I was like, oh, I forgot it was. And then he kind of like lightened up, and it was just a joke. I was like, oh, okay.
And then like when Harley Quinn's buying in quotation marks, the food in the shopping hall, and she's like, no, we're going to steal it. And then so they start getting a run up, and then she just absolutely pile drives a worker. She just runs her over. I'm like, what the hell?
On her way out,
the poor guy got crunched. Like just stuff like that. Like, that's funny. Like it doesn't make any really stupid, but it's funny.
Like, the character of Harley Quinn, even the way of Margot Robbie, like even more so the way she does it. I can't imagine anyone doing a better job than she does, because she's just fantastic. Like everything about her, even the way that she talks. You watch animated shows and it sounds like just the same, if not Margot Robbie's better than just imitating that character. But yeah, I mean, then them kind of driving off and finally ending the movie there. And then we want to skip to that post-credit scene. There was no mid-credit scene.
Right, yeah.
What do you think? I mean, I don't know.
Bit of a
Bit annoying.
Go. Like we sat through the whole end, like all the credits, and at the end it goes, what is it? I can't remember exactly what it says. Harley Quinn goes, well, you stayed till this long, you idiots. Well, I'll tell you one thing, Batman's got it, and then starts and then just cuts. Does she? I think she's meant to say film. Is getting a film.
Yeah, but that literally epitomizes what the DCEU is now. Oh yeah, Batman's got, and then just kind of stops. Joker's got Joker 2. Everything's like that. It's like it's inconclusive. Look at Marvel, Kevin Feige, the way he organizes it. He does it like 10 years in advance. Look at DC, they just improvise stuff. And they get these, last minute directors and stuff to get it done. I'm not throwing shade at this movie at all. I think the way they did it, and I've been planning this for a long time. But in terms of delivering a sound plot, I just didn't think it was there. But if we're giving it a rating, if we're just sticking to that baseline out of a 10 out of 10, I'd probably say, I don't know. I mean, what would you say?
I'd say a 6.7.
Yeah, you know what? I'd probably say the same. Maybe because I mean, I don't know.
In my head, like I'd give, if for it to get like above a 7.5 is like really good movie, which it wasn't for me a really good movie. It was a good movie, and for me, it's 5. It's between 5 and 7.5. It's like a good movie. So like I enjoyed it for its action. It was fun. It made me laugh. Some things I was scratching my head. Some things I was a bit, but I think that's
this movie was very open to interpretation, wasn't it? It's like we've kind of like supposed to just figure out what this movie is just based on our understanding of it, because it can be viewed so many different ways. The way they talk about this movie, the way they build the characters, fundamentally it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the entertainment perspective. I think a lot of people, if you're going to go watch this movie, watch it. It's fantastic. If you're listening to this podcast all the way through, I'm sorry we spoiled it, but I mean, I hope you guys have enjoyed this pod because it's been something, I think, a movie that we've really, I think, liked watching. It's something that we've been waiting for a while. But if I had to give it a rating, I'd probably say very close to yours, Pat. I'd probably say 6.6, maybe 6.5.
Yeah.
I can't go, like you said, I can't go more than 7 because I think 7 is the epitome of good, and I don't think I can call it good. But it's a decent movie.
It's like, but it wasn't that. It was like that middle ground.
Entertainment, 11 out of 10. To be honest, it's so funny. Like I was laughing through it, and you don't have to think that. It doesn't have to make sense for it to be funny. It can be stupid funny, and that's what it was. I think he did a very good job of that. But if I was giving it to the plot, I'd probably say like 5 out of 10. And that's why, like you said, it's kind of in between that stage of 6.5, 6.7. So I think we'll sign off.
Yeah, well, that's another episode done. If you guys want to keep listening to us, if you're enjoying listening to us vent our thoughts and views, then just keep joining us for the ride. We're going to be doing a few more episodes. We're working on ideas and things. We'll try to keep to what's trending, but we might also do a few older shows or episodes about anything. Like we'll just do what we ever feel like. But yeah, that's it.
Stay tuned.
See you later.